This is a Louie Tee Network exclusive.
Who else could it be? Me, your me, Louie Tee. Welcome, you are in the lab room. I, of course, am your host, Lou. Thank you for joining me. On the 2016 NFL Draft Prospects 101 series, your guides are some of the biggest and hottest names. 2016 NFL Draft, we're talking linebackers. And here's another guy, kind of caught in between. I'm not sure exactly what this guy is. We're going to consider him a linebacker. That's what he showed up and performed as at the combine, but I'm a little sketchy about him being a linebacker at the next level, if you know what I mean. But we're going to break him down anyway with these L.B.s. I'm talking about USC linebacker Cravens. Let's jump into his pros and his cons and get on to the next guy on this series. Fluid athlete. You look at Cravens, and the first thing that I looked at when I seen him on tape was, man, this guy is graceful. Everything looks light. He looks light on his feet. He looks like he's floating out there. It looks easy, man. It's easy money for Cravens. Just moving around in space. The guy looks comfortable, man. Get him a bed, a blanket, a pillow. Lay this guy down because he's comfortable out in space. And that's what you get from a guy that used to be a safety. Really comfortable out in space. You see it, fluid athlete, man. I would have loved to have seen him run at the combine. Gonna have to wait to see how fast he is at his pro day. I question his speed because if he was fast, guess what he would have did at the combine? He would have ran and been fast. So either he's hiding something from me or he had an injury. Whatever the case may be, he didn't run at the combine. Or maybe, or just maybe, he's not fast and he didn't want to show everybody who was watching that he wasn't fast. We'll see. Whatever the case may be, he's an athlete nonetheless. You can tell on tape that he's an athlete. May not be the fastest athlete, and we'll find out what that time actually is a little bit later on when he goes and performs at the USC Pro Day, but I can tell you this, he's a fluid athlete. That is for certain. Versatility. Kind of spoke to this already. Played safety in his freshman season at USC, then turned around. They said, hey, look, for the good of the team, we're going to need you to move the linebacker. He resisted the change at first, but he said, okay, I'm going to do what's best for the team. Moved the linebacker and ended up being a stud for them for 2 consecutive years. So this is a guy that can play safety, can play linebacker. If you ask me, personally, I think he's a safety. I'm not going to lie to you, but we'll talk about that a little bit later on, more in depth. But he can play safety or linebacker. He can play a little bit of both. And that's what he did at USC. He dropped deep, he'd come up, he'd be sort of like a rover. So he's a guy that provides you with versatility, and because he can do a little bit of both, that means he can drop into coverage and handle some of those responsibilities. I love it. Give me more guys that are versatile, and Cravens is exactly that. Outstanding in coverage. I'm not telling you something that you don't already know. I just told you that the guy used to be a safety. So those coverage skills come right down with him into the box at linebacker. So he's comfortable out of space. He's knocking down passes. They blitz him, and we'll talk about that here in a second. But because he's outstanding in coverage, he's got great ball skills. And the two aren't synonymous. They don't go hand in hand necessarily. Just because you're great in coverage doesn't mean you got great ball skills, okay? But that's the case for Cravens, okay? You make a mistake around Cravens, most likely you're gonna pay for that mistake around Cravens. He gets a chance to pick you off, he's gonna pick you off. And so you gotta be careful when you're throwing in his general vicinity, because the guy's an athlete, he can jump, and he will pick the football off if he gets his hands on it. Good instincts. Again, when you're at safety, gotta have instincts, gotta be able to read the quarterback's eyes, gotta be able to make some instinctual plays so you can drive on footballs and get to footballs, take good angles and all those things. The same thing at linebacker position, gotta take good angles, gotta have good instincts, gotta beat blockers to the spot to make plays sometimes, especially if you're gonna get in the backfield and get tackles for losses. Gotta be able to have great instincts. Cravens has that as well. You see that on tape when you watch him. He's a feisty defender. For a guy that's his size, that's kind of light in the trunks when you're talking about linebackers, He doesn't care. He'll go in, he'll mix it up with a tackle. He'll go in, he'll mix it up with a guard. He'll go in and he'll be feisty. And again, you use the term feisty when you're talking about a guy that's small. And again, when you're a linebacker and you're sub 230, you're small. So he's got to mix it up. And we'll talk about that a little bit later on. But he's not afraid to mix it up. That's the next pro. Those two go hand in hand to me. Feisty defender, not afraid to mix it up. He'll get in there, get in the fray, throw his name in the hat and say, all right, here I am. I'm coming to lay a hat on somebody. Be physical in the run game. I may not make the tackle, but I'm going to take up a blocker, take up some space. I'm going to do my job. He can blitz effectively. And you see this, I love this about him on tape because he blitzes very well. For a guy coming down from safety to linebacker, you would think that he's done this before because there's some really pretty blitzes that you get out of him. There's times when he's unblocked. And there's nothing better as a defender than being unblocked, okay, on a passing play when the quarterback has no idea that you're unblocked. They saw that a couple of times, and he takes good angles, comes under control. That's the most important thing because when you get athletic quarterbacks, especially at the next level, you know, they can make you miss really easy if you come out of control. So you got to come under control, and he does that. He's one of those guys that'll come, stop, break down, and then take off and hit you. So he comes under control, blitzes. But the thing that I loved when I watched him blitz was they actually trusted him to run some twists. And I don't even know if they asked him to do this or if he did this on his own. If he did this on his own, that makes it even better. That makes it more special. But I'm thinking this was a called twist inside. He was blitzing off the edge, and he kind of slow played it. He was coming up the field hard, then he slow played it a little bit, and he went inside, and the tackle kind of went outside. It had to be a twist and stunt, okay? Because it was just it was too in sync, okay? All right, it was synchronized too well. It was executed beautifully. He comes inside, and boom, the guard can't pick him up in time. It's too fast, and next thing you know, he's on the quarterback. It's a sack. So that's what you get out of Louie Tee. He blitzes very effectively. I like him as a blitzer when he's around the line of scrimmage. He will get his hands on the football. When he blitzes, he's one of those guys. The only thing that I don't like about him jumping in the air is that you can pump fake him. And there's some savvy quarterbacks at the next level that will just pump fake him just to get him off his feet, buy them a couple more seconds to throw the football. Whereas in college, those guys aren't savvy like that. They see a defender coming, they just want to get rid of the football, and so they throw it. They don't pump, they throw it, and he'll jump in the air, he'll deflect and get his hands on the football. And so at the next level, if you pump him, you'll get him to jump in the air, leave his feet. That'll buy you another half a second, another second to get rid of the football. So, or it allows you to escape the pocket. He gets in the air, you just run by him. So that's something that you'll have to be wary of at the next level, but he will get his hands on the football, especially when he is blitzing. Excellent quick hands is the final pro, and I think he uses them well when you're talking about him engaging with an offensive player and a blocker. He will use his hands very quickly to disengage, and he'll win. He'll be able to get his hands and extend them, so he wins the battle at the point of attack sometimes just by excellent hand usage. It's quick, it allows him to discard, get in the backfield, and win some one-on-one matchups with some tackles and offensive linemen and some blockers. He wins with excellent quick hands, and he has to. He doesn't have a choice. It's not optional. If he doesn't win with quick, excellent hands, he's in trouble, which we'll talk about here in a second. But let's go to his cons. You start with his size. He's undersized at 6'1", 226. Now, a guy that I broke down before in LSU linebacker Deion Jones was 6'1", 222. And I talked about this size being an issue, but I said I'll look the other way if you look the other way. If we can make a pact to look the other way, I'm willing to look the other way for Deion Jones because he's physical. He can stand up at the point of attack. I look at Cravens. His body type screams at me, I'm a safety, I'm a defensive back, I'm not a linebacker. When you look at certain guys, they look the part of a safety. You just look at them and you're like, are you out of place? Are you supposed to be in the front seven? Are you supposed to be in the box? Or are you supposed to be in the back half? You look like you're supposed to be back there. And I look at him and I say to myself, you don't belong up here. You belong back there. So I question whether he can stand up at the next level in the front seven. Like, for instance, Deone Buchanan coming out of Washington State, I looked at him and I said, man, you look like you could play linebacker. He was physically built, strong, a big muscular guy that had a thick frame that looked like he could go down and play some linebacker. Same thing with Mark Barron coming out of Alabama. He got drafted by the Buccaneers. It didn't work. He goes to St. Louis, revives his career. They just re-signed him to a new deal as a linebacker. He had a big, thick, physical frame coming into the league, and he was a physical thumper that you say, hey man, if they moved you to linebacker, I wouldn't mind. Okay, but I look at Sua Cravens and I'm like, you don't fit that description, my man. You're thin all the way up and down. Your weight is evenly proportioned. You look like a safety, dude. You don't look like a linebacker. You don't look like you're standing up to a 305-pound offensive lineman. So I worry about him at the next level in terms of his size because his weight is proportioned where he looks like a safety. He doesn't look like a linebacker. He doesn't look like a guy that can stand up to the physical nature of the linebacker position at the next level. I question him. That's why I said I think he might be better off at safety. We'll see what some team decides to do with him. Right now, I think everybody's hell-bent on putting him at linebacker. And again, with all of the guys that have made the conversion to the next level, coming from college, being undersized at linebacker, the Telvin Smiths of the world, and the Dion Buchanans, and all of those guys that have paved the way for a guy like Sua Cravens, I think he's going to be able to play linebacker and be just fine. And this discussion that I'm having with you right now will be a very non-existent discussion in 2 years, okay? It would have been all for now. But right now, this is a real discussion that we're having. Can be over-aggressive at times. I look at Sua Cravens, and he's a guy that you can catch out of position. I mean, he's a guy that wants to get up the field. He'll rush up the field, and he'll get out of his lane. He's a guy that on bootlegs and play action fake, you can get him to bite the hand. I saw one time he was supposed to be out in the flats. He was over-aggressive. He didn't do what he was supposed to do. And the tight end leaped right out where he was supposed to be. Easy completion, picked up a first down. There was another play. He's supposed to be out in the flats. And he got greedy, got nosy, came up the field. And the running back leaks out into the flats, up the field. Picks up a huge gain. That was Sua Cravens' guy. So again, he's a guy that can be over-aggressive. You can catch him sleeping and make a big play on his watch. Must win immediately at the line of scrimmage, and I've talked about this already. With his hands, he's got excellent quick hands. He extends them. He wins with his hands at the line of scrimmage. But if he doesn't win with his hands, if he doesn't extend and lock his hands out and get leverage on that offensive lineman, if that lineman is able to get to him before he gets to them, he can't win. He won't win. He's getting driven off the football 3, 4, 5 yards at a time. He cannot stand up at the point of attack unless he wins immediately. If he doesn't, he's done on that particular run play unless he sells out and just cuts the lineman. And he's not doing that often. He's a guy that wants to stand up and be a tough guy at the point of attack. Well, he's going to have to win at the absolute earliest possible time in that meeting with him and that blocker, or else he's going to get beat up on that particular play and get engulfed and get blocked, sealed to the inside, kicked out to the outside. You're going to have a rushing lane there for the running back or the ball carrier. Is he? And then last question is more of a question, less of a con. And this is a question that I have. I don't know, how evaluators view him. I think what I've been hearing is that everybody's comfortable with him being a linebacker. That's why he was at the combine as a linebacker. But in my mind, I'm still saying, why can't this guy go back to safety? Is there some kind of rule that says he has to be a linebacker? And I know what this league is becoming. And having a guy like him gives you the flexibility that it need be. You can play him at safety, and guess what? In nickel situations and on third and long situations, you can bring him down as a linebacker, have him play that nickel linebacker position for you. So there's a place for him at linebacker, but maybe on first and second down, maybe he's back at safety. Then you kick him down on third downs. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe he's a full-time weak side linebacker and everybody feels comfortable with him doing that. But my question is he more suited for safety or linebacker? I'm not sure. I've got questions. Only time will tell what those answers provide for us and what they turn out to be. But Sua Cravens, a very intriguing football player that's going to provide someone with some versatility on their football team, that is for sure. And you get a guy that will play some special teams as well at the next level. So there are a number of things to like with Sua Cravens coming out of USC. That's Sua Cravens and his draft prospects 101 breakdown. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here in the lab room. Come back and join me as I continue to break down anything and not break things. National Football League. See you next time. I think I got one more L.B. in my back pocket. I'm going to snatch him out. We're going to talk about him. Then we're going to move on to those big nasties down trenches. See you next time.
There's plenty more where that came from. While you're here, subscribe to the channel. If you want more Louie Tee, be sure to follow me on Twitter at In the Lab Room, or you can like the Facebook page at In the Lab Room. That's In the Lab Room on Facebook and at In the Lab Room on Twitter. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so.